Hi there, this is Lynn Allen. Thank you so much for joining me for another AutoCAD tip courtesy of Cadalyst magazine. Today we're going to be talking all about the ins and outs of palettes. Okay, so we use palettes all the time, right? There's the properties palette, there's design center, there's layers. That's probably the one that you use the most. I want to make sure you are the master of all palettes, okay? I don't know what's wrong with my voice. I seem to have a frog in my throat today. Tried to fix it. Hopefully it won't bug you too much. All right. So I have a palette on the screen, right? This is the properties palette. And there's a variety of things I can do with the palette just as it is. For example, if I do a right click, you'll see that there are options like transparency. So if I want to, I can have it set up so that when I am not on the palette, it is transparent, right? So I can see through my drawing. You can control how much of that you want or not. And you can also control when you mouse over it how transparent you want it to be. You probably want that to be pretty darn solid so you can see it clearly when you're working with it, but you may decide that you want your palette to kind of be, a little transparent when you're not using it, okay? And you want to apply these settings to all the palettes or not, that's completely up to you. So I'm going to say okay. All right, and I want you to see as I move my cursor away from the palette, you can see that now it's a little bit more transparent. You can barely see it all. Move my cursor back on it, very easy to see. Now, of course, I would never have my palette right in the middle of the screen. It would be just so annoying, wouldn't it? I would prefer my palette to be over on the left-hand side of the screen or the right-hand side of the screen, out of my way, all right? Before I show that to you though, let's take a look at Auto Hide. So Auto Hide allows you to have the palette closed when you're not using it and have it pop open when you are. You move your focus away from it, you'll see that it rolls back up. Put your focus back on it and it comes back to life. Okay, so I'm going to leave that open for right now. Okay, so that means I move away, it's still there and transparent. All right, so as I said, I really want these guys, I don't want them in the middle of the screen because it'd be too hard to work with them. I value my screen real estate, as I'm sure you do. So I like my palettes to go over to the left-hand side of the screen. I like to either anchor them to the left or anchor them to the right. Before I can do that, you can see these guys are grayed out. I have to allow docking. Now, if I move my palette around right now, you'll see no matter where I go, it will not dock. It's going to sit and hang wherever I move it to. It will not dock, all right? So if I change this to allow docking, you'll see that as I start to move to the left, it's going to want to kind of dock in place. If I move it to the right, it's going to want to start to dock in place and so on. So let me move it over to the left. Let's dock it. Do a right click and say anchor to the left. All right, can you see it over there? There it is on the left-hand side. It says properties. Takes up a fair amount of room. Bit of room going on there for my properties, but it's cool. Move my cursor away and you'll see it goes away. All right, so let's do another one. Let's do layers. I want layers to be on the left-hand side of the screen too. You can see as you continue to add them, that the next one will go beneath the first one. So if I did control 2 for Design Center, you'll see that that one's going to show up on the bottom of the list as well. You can't drag them and drop them around. Wish I could. You actually have to remove them and kind of reorder them as well. So get them right the first time, all right? It doesn't really matter to me which one's on top and which one's on the bottom because I don't like this text. I don't like it taking up so much room. I like to do a right click and say icons only. Now look, it only takes up a teeny bit of room on my screen. If I move my cursor over to the left, I get Design Center. If I move my cursor over to the layers icon and the properties and so on and so forth. In fact, if you use any of these palettes all the time, put them on your screen. Less things for you to go search for, right? We don't like searching for things. So use your palettes. Palettes rock, right? Figure out where you want them on your screen. Some people like them on the right-hand side of the screen. Some people like them on the left. I don't like them on the right because I have a tendency to grab this little X and accidentally close my drawing file. And that, let's face it, makes me very cranky. I'm sure you can relate. We don't want cranky AutoCAD users. So I hope that your tip is going to make you happy, give you a chance to set your screen up exactly the way you want it to be. Get those palettes out of the way, but easy to get to. And that's really all I have to share with you today. All right, so I'm going to see you back here in 2 more weeks. Thank you so much for joining me.